Take the boy and go hide in the loft.
I'm here to collect Mr. Hawthorne's rent! Shut that squeal! Before I get you up and squeal now! Christ almighty!
Johnny Fletcher busted into a farmhouse on his property.
You bring me back that stuff false.
Well, look at what we have here.
Please don't kill me.
Gentleman John Fletcher! Damn it!
Johnny Fletcher! Don't make me chase you! I didn't kill nobody. I didn't murder that family.
That don't break me down to me. You're a bounty hunter. You're a wanted man. Here.
Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years finds, and shall find me, unafraid. It matters not how straight the gates, how charged the punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Stand down and no one has to die today.
This only ends one way.
They'll kill you all.
Why not take your chances in a prison cell?
Alright, I'm coming out.
My lord, I have a report.
Speak.
Our latest assassination attempt on Lady Nocturne has failed.
I can see stronger measures are needed. Begin phase 2.
Captured! The notorious Lady Nocturne has been brought in through the valiant efforts of the Void Cobras.
Get on the damn bird.
Prisoner, take 5 steps, then stop and turn to your right.
But the pirates of Velix Mortis are far from defeated.
My lord, I have a report.
Let's cut to the chase, since we both know that this isn't a social call and you didn't come here to waste time.
Fine. High Command is gambling that the attempt on your life by your so-called friends has made you willing to cooperate. Am I wasting my time now?
What fate will befall the disgraced former pirate?
The Minotaur sends his regards, traitor.
What does your High Command want, and what are they offering in return?
High Command wants many things, but it wants a show of good faith first.
Go.
Fire Team 1, move up. Fire Team 2, covering fire.
Bravo Team 1, push up. Bravo 2, give us support.
What next for now infamous mercenaries, the Void Cobras?
I want every last pirate I used to run with dead. I don't want to be watching over my shoulder every hour of every day.
Now you die!
Will the Void Cobras become targets of Lady Nocturne's former pirate comrades?
Attention, crash override. This is Freighter Ebony Hawk. My ship just lost all power and thrust. We're going down. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
There truly is no honor among thieves. You rabble will turn on each other at the slightest provocation.
Okay, fine. Moving past you.
Find out on the next episode of Star Citizen Nocturne.
Jameson, you copy?
Touch me now, I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you.
Jameson, we require immediate emergency extract.
I don't know, man. It looks kind of hot over there.
Oh, I've entrusted my life to ants.
Okay, got it working, Sarge.
Alright, Corporal, good work. Follow me! Y'all remember what Sarge said? Stay together, keep comms clear, and heads on the swivel. Clear. Okay, we're gonna secure it, then sweep the entire ship for survivors. Channel, you take point. Doc, you're behind me.
Oh shit, I just saw something. Oh my god, oh my god!
Get the hell out of here!
Get him off me, get him off me, get him off me! They're getting in my armor! Ah!
I got into collecting bounties when a gang of bandits bushwhacked my wife, my best friend Coyote, and me. Meet the Jones brothers.
To take a look at the situation in which you find yourself.
That's Joshua.
Gonna have real bad.
What's the Indian word for
Next to him is Rufus the Doofus.
Heck, I don't know.
You're just trying to make me look dumb.
Alright, I want to
Next
see
to him is
on the
Lyman.
ground.
Remember those faces.
And 6.
You'll see him again.
8 hands praising Jesus.
The other ones, well, ain't no use in introducing. They're all dead.
Run! Obadiah, get the saddlebags! I got it!
I later discovered the Jones brothers were all wanted men. I figured I might as well get paid for taking my revenge.
Man, they still want it for justice.
Post is still on the wall?
So I hunted down the ones we didn't kill. Lyman, he sang like a bird. Rufus and Joshua were smuggling contraband down the river. Always to the same spot. I found a nice perch on a bluff above the river where I knew they would eventually be. During the war, I was a sharpshooter. Coyote's Whitworth came in handy. For weeks, I tracked them.
Mama.
Then I killed them.
If you like our content, we'd appreciate if you'd like, subscribe, and get notifications. Help us extend our reach by sharing our video content. And if you want to help us beat the algorithm, also leave us a comment on some of our videos.
Hey, boss, you're muted. No, still can't. Good evening, everyone. We're off to a traditional Sons of Liberty start here today.
Admin Matt, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I hear you just fine.
Perfect. Great, thank you.
Now that's Admin Tim having technical difficulties is something of a tradition here. Was it Mikey? Did Mikey take the cable out again?
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Honestly,
all right.
Half of mine just tell him no, just keep this going.
You would normally do that.
So not to dick around more and blow time on the show.
So I presume you've already gotten us started.
Sure, yeah, because I'm a professional and I do that kind of thing, sort of. I did not get a chance quite yet to introduce our guest here. Figured maybe you want to start the show off properly, Big Sarge.
I let the guests introduce themselves. They know better than I do.
It's true.
Well, greetings. Thank you, first of all, for your invitation, guys. I've been talking with a lot of your team. Tim, Big Sarge. I got also I've talked with Doug, Drill Sarge Doug, and see Admin Matt, and so many other people. So you have a great team here. So thank you for the invitation and also getting to know you guys. It's going to be a joy. My name is Greg Terry. I'm from the Greg Terry Experience, 30 plus years working, 31 years working in Russia, Ukraine, crazy places around the world. I run aid right now to the front lines in Ukraine. I'm an American, love my country, hate where it's heading right now, and fighting for truth and justice and a lot of translation. I speak Russian fluently. We've dropped over $1 million of aid on the front lines, helping the soldiers there, extracting people. I've spent 14 months on the front lines, getting bombed, missiled, and droned. So that's about it right now. I'm a background of a musician, a minister, a missionary, traveling all over the world. I work in 38 nations, but since the full-scale war broke out, 28 years working in Ukraine, 31 in Russia. It's completely the focus now. So it's a joy to be here, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys.
I saw something about you being a minister, so the preacher's kid in me was like, okay, it's just like going home for Christmas. Gotta be quiet.
So I've already been warned that there may be some colorful language, and that's okay, bro. Oh, mild. Okay, we'll go with no,
guess-
man. It's your channel, bro. You do however you want. I respect you, and I've looked at your content and your videos, and respect your work, and looking forward to hanging out tonight, chatting. I was sent all these emails if you really want to know the truth, and I'll just get straight to it. If I was sent all these emails, I was having communication back and forth, and then it was like this person, and then it was a butterfly, and then this person, and finally I said, you know what? Oh, Mark Singerman, you know, I see some guys in here. Ohms is in here. I'm starting to see some people. I actually had to email back and I said, okay, I need like you to draw this with crowns because you've mentioned like 6 people, multiple channels, all this, and then they were it was good. So then I received another email and I've laid it all out. I've got my crowns and my drawing over here. So we're good to go, man. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Now, where did you pick up Russian? Just out of curiosity.
I started learning it when I first started going there in 1994. So 21 years old. I was born in 72. Grew up in the 80s with Red Dawn and the Cold War, Ronald Reagan, tear down that wall. All of that was inbred, just put into my DNA. I'm originally from the South, Virginia, but lived in California, Arizona. Went to school in Georgia, so just a lot of time around, but just I guess had a little innate ability, a God gift to learn language. So like I learned it. Started with Spanish in school, but really went all in on Russia, and not all in on Russia, all in on learning Russian. Now working on the Ukrainian as well. My daughter, like she's very gifted. She speaks Spanish like crazy. She went to Mexico for 1 year and it's just like. Perfect. So yeah, Ohms, you're the old guy. So that's where it was. It was a lot of work. But when you're immersed, man, I've spent over 4 years of my life. I'm 52 and I've spent over 4 years of my life, approaching 5 now, inside Ukraine. So you learn or you don't get around.
We have some experience with Ukraine and guests that have been to Ukraine. Matt had 2 colleagues of his on the show that are doing mine removal work and I believe some first aid training as well. And Jen, who is running late and may not be able to make it, is from Ukraine, or I think she's first generation American.
Yeah, it's
so we have some pretty strong ties within the admin team to Ukraine. So it's kind of a personal thing for us as well.
Well, watching your stuff, I know you're fighting for liberty and justice, and that's a part of the DNA of your work. So that's what Ukraine is fighting for, and it's a serious battle. You mentioned mine removal. It's the most mined place in the world now, and it's even beyond the early stages of the war. And as you're running the front lines, and I work on all the front lines. I mean, right there, everything is mined, and you see the warning signs. Don't go here. It's mined. It's mined. But so much is mined. It's even not even marked out yet, because the transition of the way that the mines are being placed, the look of the mines, everything has changed. And what happens is, even like, so I go out with the soldiers, and I've been in the Kursk region in Russia with Ukrainian special ops, and you head to the zero, you head to the front lines, you head to where the battle is, and your buddies you're traveling with. And a lot of these soldiers that are commanders, working in the nation that long, I just have a lot of friends and connections in military and government. So it's personal for me. A lot of these guys that are commanders and leaders, I've known a lot of them since they were little boys, to be honest with you. And I've lost hundreds of my personal friends. So it's devastating. But when you get in there and talking about landmines or mines in general, Buddy turns to me and goes, there's a lot of mines behind us. I said, excuse me? He goes, well, they're behind us. I said, dude, they're supposed to be in front of us, and you're in front. So if one goes off, you're taking it. We're laughing, just having fun. And he goes, dude, no, they're all behind us too. So you have the zero line, you have the first line, second line, then you move into Dragon's Teeth and all of that. But that zero line, what Russia's doing right now is they're sending over drones, dropping mines behind the front lines. A lot of these shaheeds now that are actually dropping into cities that are heavily populated are now dropping capsules of little cylindrical mines, basically, that are everywhere. So now Ukraine's having to warn their citizens, even hundreds of kilometers from the front lines, if you see near the explosion these cylinders, you don't touch anything. It's incredibly dangerous and getting more dangerous by the day over there.
I know it was very striking to me when Doc and Ryan were sending back pictures of where they were working for the demining, and he kind of expected to be like front lines and trenches and kind of battlefield areas. They're all dug up. No, they were in a playground on one of the days in question.
Absolutely.
And it was these little green plastic leaf mines that had been distributed by artillery. Just
the size. Okay, you got some people in here that know their stuff. Then
he showed us the pictures.
They're about this size, guys. Yeah, and it looks like a leaf.
Maybe even a little bit smaller.
Yeah, everywhere.
They showed us a picture, and it was like, you see who over there can pick out where the mine is, and basically every single one of us failed that test. We'd all be dead.
This is why there are so many Ukrainian soldiers right now hey, Mark Sangerman, there are so many Ukrainian soldiers right now that have lost limbs and a lot of prosthesis work. It's
happened to one of their guys too.
It's shocking how many soldiers have lost limbs.
Yeah. I absolutely believe it. Just the area is just so saturated, and these guys, the guys go for tip of the spear. They're former Green Berets. They have spent years and years in Afghanistan and Iraq. They are probably the best in the world at what they do, and they've lost men. They've had serious injuries. It is incredibly dangerous work. I know the company that I own with Doc has been donating gear. Mine detection equipment, and they've been training up Ukrainian EOD specialists as fast as they can. But it's mind-boggling how big the whole area inside Ukraine that is effectively, beyond the battlefield is still a war zone because of this.
It's all a war zone.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to say that, and of course, the closer you get to the zero, the danger grows exponentially. But the reality is Russia's sending on an average 80 to 120 shaheeds every night. And these are third generation shaheeds that they're manufacturing themselves. And they're very, very difficult. They've changed the tactics of how they're attacking with shaheeds. This is why you're seeing so much more damage from shaheed attacks. And, I cover it every day. It's because the tactics have changed, but then on top of that, the ballistic missile strikes now with the lack of Patriots, Ukraine's having to be, and I'm talking about the Patriot missile system for air defense. They're having to be very strategic in how they're placed, how they're used, how they're utilized, and all of the air defense. Lviv on far western Ukraine can be just equally as dangerous as standing in Chasiv Yar. It's just the reality. But of course, it's going to change when you're within artillery range system and FPV drones. But that technology is changing now. FPV drones, when the war first started, you're a couple of miles, you're dealing with some electronic warfare, and it's like bees flying around. Now they're on fiber optics, and they're pushing out 20 kilometers easily. So we're having FPV drones striking now in Konstantinivka city, which is in Donetsk region, and that's a game changer. It's a big game changer. It's extremely dangerous.
That's definitely one thing we've seen throughout this war has been the evolution of drone combat versus conventional combined arms. It's as all things happen in war, the evolution of the technology becomes very rapid out of necessity. Whether it's you're defending against it or you're using it, you quickly have to adapt, and there's kind of no two ways about that.
Well, this is why the Trump administration is making a tremendous mistake, first of all, in sending over Witkoff to be the envoy. My question would be, then why do we have a Secretary of State? But that's a different topic. But we'd rather have some land deal golfing crony run around and, so I'm not streaming on my channel because I didn't want to do that until we had met because,
no,
the email came.
You can press that button.
Push it to your channel as well. And so I didn't want to be rude. I want to meet. I mean, this is fantastic, man. But I'm telling you, right, we have an absolute disaster going on right now. So, Witkoff and Trump are French kissing and bringing back absolute Russian propaganda and speaking points. And that's what's fueling this disaster now. And unfortunately, as you were saying, admin Matt, the technology that you guys are actually seeing, even, we'll see it on social media, or you'll have some buddies that are over there coming back and forth, whatever technology you're seeing, Ukraine and Russia, they're already beyond what's being seen, what's being reported, what's being shared. Of course, things leak out here and there. Martin Lai, what's up, stud? I'm seeing some names I recognize. Obi-Wan. So tragically, the most experienced right now is Ukraine, and what they're having to do to defend their nation. In addition to that, what they're having to do to fight a multi-front war against an invading evil cancer, which is Putin's evil coming out of the Kremlin and Russia. Additionally, fighting internal issues, because they're fighting against corruption. They're learning how to mobilize properly. They're fighting for justice and liberty. And it's like they're coming out of a cocoon to be their own free sovereign nation, to make their own choices and break out from that evil that rolls out of Moscow. So they're fighting this war, and some of the greatest assets that could be for American and for Americans to learn and to cooperate, and other nations to learn and to cooperate. We're just letting it slide by, and we're sucking in the Russian propaganda, and we're losing big time, man, big time.
Yeah, it's
a great opportunity.
Absolutely wild, though, to hear U.S. politicians just parrot the exact lines that Moscow has put out, and their social media drones just repeat it over and over again. And like the saying goes, you repeat a lot enough times, people start believing it.
That's so true.
Hi, Edmund.
Greg.
Jen.
I'm so sorry I'm late, Greg. I'm so sorry.
We'll never forgive you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm sorry. I just started a new job. It's kicking my butt, to be honest with you.
So you raised it, admin Matt. I think you said it's so strange or interesting or disturbing to hear.
I definitely said words.
The Americans that are responsible for negotiating and working and leading to repeat exactly the same parroted talking points. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're spot on there. But let's take it a step further than that. Why on earth would Kirill Dmitriev, and if you guys do not know who Kirill Dmitriev is, he is the economic czar. So that's actually his title in Russia. Okay, he is the foreign policy economic guru, personal envoy for Vladimir Vladimirovich Putler. And it's easy to see that he is being groomed right now to potentially move into a foreign minister position. Sergei Lavrov is 75 years old. These guys are masters at what they do. I personally believe that Dmitriev is actually being groomed to be Putin's replacement. And it's very obvious to see some of these cards, the way they're lining up. It will not go back to to Medvedev. That will not happen.
Right.
He's done his role. He's there spewing his stuff as always. But they're looking forward. It even has to go worse. And this Dmitriev, what you have to remember is he was sanctioned in 2022 as a Russian oligarch by the United States Treasury Department. So not only do we repeat parroted talking points, but we actually, Besant and the Treasury Department of the United States, temporarily lifted the sanctions against Kirill Dmitriev a few weeks ago to allow him to receive a visa to come into the United States. And not only come into the United States, he actually met in the White House while Trump was going tariff, and he was putting tariffs on, the penguins. And so he was taking care of making sure they were all screwed up, not knowing, have any clue what he's talking about. But we allowed a sanctioned Russian oligarch to walk into the White House and negotiate with Witkoff and to have private meetings with Senator Lindsey Graham and others. And we wonder why, how on earth are they repeating these same talking points? We hear Trump on Air Force One stating, and I'm almost quoting this, we know that the strike on Sumy, Russia made a mistake on that one. And I know it from good sources. Okay. What good sources? Okay.
Right.
Vladimir Putin or Medvedev? I mean, what's your source there? Okay, because that is not true. And it's just spewing it over and over and over. And as you said, the more you spew it, the more you believe it. I've done a lot of work in DC. I have watched Victoria Sparks absolutely fall under the poisonous spell of MAGA and Donald Trump. And I know her personally, was good friend. I'm sitting in meetings in the U.S. Capitol building right beside her. And she is 24 months ago screaming how evil Putin is, screaming how great Zelensky is, screaming how much Russian propaganda is in the bills of the United States being written, drafted, and voted upon every day. They've been here for decades. I submit to you, they've been doing this even back to the late 30s and 40s when Ronald Reagan was the president of the Screen Actors Guild, and he was specifically fighting against communism at that time. And then you come into the 50s and you have the speeches at the UN, you have Brezhnev and you have Khrushchev, and you have it coming over and over and over. And she's screaming it 24 months ago. We have to fight. We have to stand for Ukraine. I'm Ukrainian. I'm from Chernihiv. I know that this is all evil. And now what is she? She's calling Zelensky a mafia member, and let's don't help Ukraine anymore. She's completely gone. And I had to actually come out and do I'm wrong video. And to be honest with you, I wasn't wrong. Okay. I was right. I'm sitting right beside her and talking personally. I'm in meetings with members of the House and the Senate, and I'm in the Ukrainian embassy, and I'm sitting beside the Ukrainian ambassador. I'm talking to her, everything. And I'm saying, no, you guys are wrong. 24 months ago, she really is fighting for truth. And she was, but now it's gone. So if Victoria Sparks can be gone, being born in Ukraine, knowing 24 months ago, I personally witnessed it. Pro-Ukraine, 100%. Pro-Zelensky, 100%. Anti-Trump, anti-MAGA, 100%. Out of her own mouth, screaming about it in the meetings. And now, 24 months later, gone. It's easy to see. If the Ukrainian can be gone, if you've never had that experience growing up in that culture, understanding the Soviet system, and you just fall for it. You know, this is like how would I say this? This is like amateurs playing with pros. I mean, we send Witkoff in to communicate with Putin. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. We allowed Dmitriev to walk into the White House. Good luck. These guys, they know exactly what they're doing. So that's the concern. And I'm not glorifying them. I'm just telling you the truth. I'm telling you the absolute truth here, that this has been prepared. And today was a huge day, man. A huge day. Witkoff came back with his trash on Hannity. And for the first time today, Zelensky called the red line. And the red line was, there will be no negotiations on territory. It's off the table. And this is what Witkoff is bringing back. The easiest way to go to peace is just give away the 4 territories. And yesterday somebody emailed me off of your guys' team, and I don't want to be talking the whole time, but I'm the guest, I guess. So you asked me, and then I kind of get going, man. It just starts rolling. So I'm sorry. But somebody asked me in all of the conversation said, "Hey, Greg, you need to hook up with Professor Gertis. Y'all two would do a good job together." Professor Gertis, I've been working together for a year and a half. We're very good friends. We've raised a ton of money, and I've delivered the aid directly to the front. I mean, armored vehicles, man, rescue Kosovacs, you name it. Big time stuff, not big time stuff. So I emailed back and said, well, on that one, we're already buddies. But you know, you do this every day. And I was actually talking to Gertis just 45 minutes ago, and we were talking about this red line. Today was the first day, and it was in Odessa. Zelensky's in a press conference standing beside Mark Rutte, who is the General Secretary of NATO. He made a powerful statement today, but Zelensky made the most powerful, and it was for the first time Zelensky used the word red line. And the red line is the territory. He says, I don't have the right to negotiate territory. It is owned by the Ukrainian people. It can only be voted on by the Ukrainian people. It can only be discussed by the Ukrainian people. And the representation that is happening right now, negotiating about Ukraine for Ukraine that are not Ukrainians, is completely irresponsible and out of their league. I mean, he smoked it. And then in their joint press conference later, Mark Rutte came and said, and I quote, Ukraine will not be in NATO as long as the war is raging. But this does not change the fact that 100% Ukraine in the future will be a member of NATO when this war is finished. We will bring them into the NATO family. Makes complete sense. So you have two major statements happening today. And I told my guys on my channel, I said, you need to be watching this week, because I knew Witkoff was coming back. We've got the economic pressure, the trade wars between China and the United States, other nations as well, Canada, Mexico, all of that. We have all of these games being played. We have Greenland back in the conversation with the Panama Canal. We have the escalation with talks that we're going to send Witkoff, the one that's not qualified, to negotiate with Iran. Good luck on that one. And all of this is coming together at the very same week. And it approaches Easter, where the latest we heard was we're really going to push for an April 20th to get this thing a ceasefire and a peace. Okay. Baloney. So be watching this week very closely. And yesterday, so what I do is I watch Russian news. I watch Ukrainian news. I've got all my buddies there, military people. And I like to put the whole story together. So yesterday, Russia's reporting on their propaganda channels that today, meaning today, April the 15th, Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister, would be making this powerful statement. So I told people, I said, Lavrov's going to speak tomorrow, and we need to listen because they're pushing it, and there's a reason they're pushing it. So you put it all together. You've got Witkoff on Fox News with Hannity spewing, oh, this is easy. Just give away the land, and we'll have peace. It's easy. And then not only will we have peace, it's going to be the golden age of new relationships between Russia and the United States as we move forward with economic power and riches to only believe that are possible with our partnership. Okay.
Peace in our time.
Same day. Sergei Lavrov comes out.
Said that.
Yeah. Same day, Sergei Lavrov, just hours ago, comes out. And I played the video on my video today, and says, well, we're not really close to an agreement. I mean, for us, it's very simple. We go back to June 14th, 2024. And June 14th, 2024 is when President Putin stated that the way to peace and a ceasefire to get this over is to secede the 4 territories. And then you have to pay attention to understand Russian culture now. He didn't call Lugansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. He called it 4 regions, but then what he says, and I'm specifically talking about Donbass and Novorossiya. So Novorossiya is the term they're using to cover the Zaporizhia and Kherson, and Donbass, they're using that to cover Donbass and Donetsk and Lugansk regions. So now he's talking in these terms, and you have to pay attention to it and understand it to say, okay, to be able to qualify what they're actually saying. So it's on the same day that Witkoff says, just give away the land. Lavrov comes out and says, I remind you of what Putin said in June of 2024, just give away the land. And I'm specifically talking about these regions. The same day, for the first time, Zelensky called the red line. And he specifically, quote, said, this is a red line. We've heard red lines from many people, but I fully stand by President Zelensky that it is a real red line. And it's not a question. And I know personally that many Ukrainian heroes, men and women, grandpas, guys and girls in their early 20s that are fighting, have lost so many friends, so many brothers and sisters in arms. And they're in it for the long haul. And they're not only, and if you ask them, which I do all the time, yeah, we're fighting for our land. Yeah, we're fighting for our borders. Yeah, we're fighting for truth. Yeah, we're fighting for justice. Yes, we're fighting for a future. Are you going to quit? No. Why are you not going to quit? Because Oleg was killed. Natalia was killed. Anastasia was killed. Roka was killed, murdered, and we made a bond, not giving up. We will never forgive, and we're going to win this war. So now we come to this critical time, critical time, where a lot of things are coming together to a collision, and we're really going to see, I really believe we're going to see some things continue to play out. That are going to be much more telling to see where we're going to be going in regard to United States support, lack of support, giving up, quitting, the real truth that will continue to be exposed between a Trump and Putin connection, love affair, bromance, or deeper. I don't know for a fact. I try to only deal in facts. But for sure, there's a lot of mess going on. A lot of mess. But we're gonna get some clarity this week, and I think we're already getting it. So did that all start off that one little question?
Yes.
Sorry.
No, that was good.
That's why we're here.
For a lot of stuff. Hey, that's why you're here, is to tell us
thank
about
you.
this. Bring this story out to the people who need to hear this.
Blonde Bombsheller is in the chat. She's one of my mods, and she is actually in Ukraine right now. She's from the States, and she says it publicly. So she's from the state of New Jersey, so I can say that. I know that. And it is early in the morning there. So good morning to you, BB. Elizabeth in the chat, I'm reading your chat as well. Greg Terry, you remembered Pete well. Thank you for that, Elizabeth. Pete and I were partners and brothers. And Pete is the Brit and South African guys, if you do not know, who made the epic speech that went viral. I'm ashamed of the West. I'm ashamed of the West. And Pete and I worked hand in hand, brothers. I would in bed with Pete all the time, and Pete gave his life last year for Ukraine, and his family gave me the power of attorney to represent them in Ukraine, and I dealt with the state funeral in Kyiv, and yeah, Pete was a hero. Pete was a hero. So Pyro Kurt Brubaker, one of my mods in the chat. He's from out west, Oregon way.
Oh, I see him now.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably running a few seconds behind on the chat.
I think
I like this StreamYard setup. So I'm a vMixer. I use vMix for all of my broadcasting. But yeah, Martin Lai, rest in peace, Pete. Roxy from UK, rest in peace, Pete. Geroim Slava, Elizabeth and Olms. Tacey Ahuna Shark, Slava, Pete, Slava. Yes. And I'll teach you guys something. You know, when you hear Slava Ukraina, Geroim Slava, and everybody thinks that word Slava always means, you know, just glory to Ukraine. And it does mean glory to Ukraine, but there's also a secondary meaning in there that is, you know, like eternal memory of the fight that is happening. So it's a multi-layered. So when I saw that, it just triggered, you know, Slava Pete, yeah, eternal memory of Peter. Phil Ittner in Ukraine too. Phil Ittner's a friend of mine. End Time Independent News is in the chat. You guys need to connect with him sometime as well. It's a great channel there. And Nick and I try to do, he's out of Boston. Nick and I are trying to do a show a week. He is as left as they come, and I am as right as they come, which means we find that the 10% we disagree upon is not as important as the 90% we do agree upon. And it's really beautiful, because that's what we fight for, man, is lay down the differences, talk about them, work on them, solve them. But man, focus on what we agree on. We're much stronger when we do that, much stronger. And we learn we agree on much more than we disagree on. And I'm very disappointed in you guys. I haven't heard one curse word.
Shit.
There you go. I got one out of you.
I was just about to say, I'm really fucking tired of being called a Nazi. That's what I'm fucking tired of.
Oh, I think,
what happened.
Well, there we go. I done pulled the cap off the whole thing now. Even the chat's going at it.
My inner preacher's kid was like, just pretend like you went home for Christmas and you're not, you know, you got to watch your mouth.
Starting to think your
Go
mic
outside later when everyone's asleep and be like, fuck shit ass, damn.
I do a lot of work with Starsky. Pyro Kurt, your mods are standing with you, all of you. Thank you. BB, did you drop this into the Discord by chance? Or Kurt? If you didn't, please do, and let people know. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I do a lot of work with Operative Starsky, and he'll get going, and then he'll drop some colorful language, and then he'll go, "Oh, Padre, I'm sorry, Padre."
And you mentioned
now, I will tell you this. So I, you know, that's not, you know, I just don't typically communicate that way, and that's just not my style. But I will tell you this: I get down to the front lines and having fun with the soldiers, and of course, every other word, blat 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 blat. Okay, and I have so much fun with them talking, and they'll go, "Oh, Greg, you know, man, we're going on a hard mission in the morning. You think we could have some communion right now, just in case?" I said, "Yeah, we can have some communion." And so I said, "Get some bread and some juice." And, you know, I'll have a little communion time with them, because most of them are Orthodox Christian. And they're, most of them, they're no Nazis, by the way, just in case you guys were wondering. Okay. There's zero. The Nazis are on the other side of the border in Russia, by the way. But they'll say, "Hey, like, say a Bible verse or do some prayer, because it's going to be tough tomorrow. And some of us might not come back. So bless me, Padre." I said, "Listen, I'm not going to bless you. I'm not into that." I said, "But you know, I'll have communion with you and say a prayer with you." So we do that. And then they're heading out to some mission. And then we'll go outside and they'll be loading up, and I'll start dropping some colorful Ukrainian or Russian on them, because a lot of I speak in Russian with them, or Ukrainian, because it's all intermixed. If you want the truth, I just tell you the truth. This is not about language. This is about truth and justice, when it comes down to it, and freedom for Ukraine. But I'm out there, and then I'll start dropping some colorful language on them, and they say, "Oh, you're not allowed to say those words. They're bad." And I said, "Listen, there is a rule. I'm not speaking English. I'm speaking your language. So in your language, I can be colorful, but in my language," oh, they get laughing. We have some,
that's good.
Yeah, man. It's awesome.
It's great that you're able to get out there and be able to be out on those front lines with. I know for my guys, they're basically behind the lines at all times, working on their demining stuff, and a few of them have expressed wishes to be more towards the quote action. No, I'm here like no man, I don't see that as
not a good idea
in any way. No,
it's not a good idea.
But there's some tough guys who've been through some tough things, so they would know better than I.
It's and of course you had the desire to get there. It's in the DNA, and all of you guys in here that are veterans, thank you for your service. I appreciate that, and high respect for serving in the American military. But it's the same DNA that's just in you, and it's like, for me, I'm very blessed because we work only with military. So a lot of aid organizations or people doing what we do. I have a nonprofit organization inside Ukraine as well, a partner of Yevgeny Matsutsa. And so this has been going nonstop. But we only work with military. So even when we go into drop military or aid, or maybe we're going in to help get some people out, or we're getting to a village that's cut off, which we've done many times, and drop truckloads of food, or bring in the real deal by the thousands, Cat 7 tourniquets by the thousands. We get to our staging position, and then where we work, no matter where it is on that very, very long front line, everywhere we go, it's our buddies, and they'll say, "Okay, we're going to go and we're going to drop this stuff at X." Okay, so like I've been at, you name it, we've been there. Bakhmut, no problem. Been inside Bakhmut, Kupiansk, Vovchansk, that's completely decimated and gone up north of Kharkiv. All these places. I have where we stay in Kherson is, it's a human safari there with the FPV drones being, and the pilots being trained on the other side of the river. It's extremely dangerous, and we drop so much aid there. But the reason I'm still here and our team is because working with the military and no language barrier, and I keep all this stuff over here, all the proper documentation. So, I'm a Ukrainian resident card, military ID, organizational IDs, all the stands. So everything's legit. So when you do that, and then you work with military, we've had on multiple occasions, we're there, we're 7 kilometers from where we're dropping the aid, and it's going to be right there. And they're on the radios, and they're going, we need to wait a day, because they're getting ready to unload in that zone, meaning Russia, because they're fighting a war. So we just shut down and hang out with them. And then they'll say, "Okay, this is our best window for the next 90 minutes. We need to roll in. We need to drop the aid. We need to get out," because there's so much stuff going on behind the lines, and firing zones, and especially the artillery. They know when it's coming and when it's not coming. The most dangerous thing is drones, because it's unbelievable massive drones. and they are very, very difficult to stop for both sides. But doing that has saved our lives many, many times. We dropped, there was a village right on the bank of the river, on the Dnipro River. And at that point, you're about 800 meters from Russian positions. And this village is extremely difficult to get to, and it's basically cut off. And there's just a lot of old people there that couldn't get out, still a couple hundred. And we went in to drop aid, and it's on the southern side. And as we were going, we had loaded up all this food and medical supplies and aid to get to them. We went to go, and the soldier said, we got to wait. We got to wait 3 hours. And I said, okay, man, no problem. Yeah, no problem. He goes, and he flips on the radio, and we're listening to the Russians talking. That's how close we are. We're listening to the Russians. He says, we got to wait. Artillery came in. He says, we go now. And we went. We dropped all the aid. We were there, spent about an hour max, got everything provisioned, dropped, handled, and we rolled out. The very next day, oh, by the way, when we were rolling out, he flipped to the Russian radio signal, and he says, Greg, you want to talk to the Russians? I said, yeah. He said, well, here, talk to them. So I keyed up the microphone. I said, and he said, oh, no, speak in English. I said, oh, okay. Hello, Russians. There's an American over here. My name is Matt Dillon, and I have a sidekick named Festus. And I'm going to shoot you. Man, and then it was we had so much fun. Okay. But now to take that funny story and get very tragically sad, the next day, another organization went in to bring more supplies to those people and to help maybe extract some people. But they did not work with the military. They were authorized. They had all their documentation, but they were just working as a nonprofit and hoping for the best, to be quite honest. They had an armored vehicle and all of that, and they're doing it right. But they went in the next day, and all of them were killed. All of them. Every one of them. And we were already had moved on, and our soldier guy called us and said, hey, man, another group went in. They were all killed. All killed. So for your guys, if they get that itch and they want to go, please make sure they connect with military. It's so important.
Oh,
and there's lots of opportunities, especially if they're experienced. But just, you got to do it the right way.
And Ryan keeps him on a pretty short leash. He's got a mission. He's got an assignment. And these guys, at the end of the day, they're the most task-focused human beings I've ever met. So I'm pretty sure they'll stay on task and stick to what they're doing. And hopefully that keeps them out of most of it. As it is, they have lost a man this last year and had another very seriously injured just from what they're doing, let alone from being in combat on top of that. There is always the danger of the wasn't this year, or rather this trip, they're out there again. It was a year before that, I think in the fall, that the place they were staying was targeted by the Russians to try to hit them and other aid group, not just that, but other aid group that were staying in an apartment building, and the Russians hit the wrong building and basically leveled an apartment complex full of people trying to hit the NGO workers that were out there to do this kind of work. So it's such a dangerous environment.
It's dangerous, and 100% they target aid organizations. They target deminers. They target Ukrainian private citizens who, for example, run heavy equipment and come in, and they're hired by Ukrainian government to dig lines. And you can be at that point 20 kilometers. You're digging a third, fourth, fifth line. You're installing dragon's teeth, and you're 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers from the front. Talking mega trench systems for defense lines, and they're targeting them, just killing them. Unfortunately, man, I can't stress how dangerous the drones are. That's the problem. Artillery, you can time. Artillery, you can calculate. Artillery, you can deal with.
Right.
I mean, you guys know it has a limit. It has to be reloaded. It has to be repositioned. If not, it'll be taken out. I mean, that's standard artillery warfare. Right. But when you put the amount of drones in the air, and people just think it's like a FPV drone that's flying around like a Mavic, and it is, and it's loaded. But that's just one. Guys, there are so many variations of drones that are flying in the air: reconnaissance drones, targeting drones, bombing drones, cam drones, multiple drones working together to do one system, one attack. You'll have one FPV drone going in to do one attack, but 3 other drones are watching it, and they're doing all the calculations and the guiding. I mean, it is unbelievable. Seriously unbelievable, the amount of drones in the air. Indescribable.
It's so wild to see how far they've come out. Obviously, this is a terrible thing. The changes in the evolution of what they had available. I remember the first time my guys went over there, and they were talking about basically they had hobbyist kits that the Ukrainian soldiers were finding ways to weaponize. They were literally duct taping hand grenades onto drones, had some kind of release for the pins, and then just would fly them into a Jeep or into a tent or something. And the operator
made them.
Had to be so close.
Our team made them, and they were created on 3D printers, and then they'd put a little chip in them and just have one little release, and they literally were taking just grenades and fly them over, hit the button, and they were going like, oh my goodness, look at the technology we're doing. Dude, bro, we're talking about that's light years ago compared to what they can do now.
Yeah.
And when I say they, unfortunately, it's not just the Ukrainian side, the Russians as well. The evolution of electronic warfare, the evolution of technology, the evolution of drone warfare. I've been in command bunkers with Ukrainian soldiers, and I mean command level places, screens everywhere, and I'm watching drone warfare. And I can never. I can only talk about it after. I can never film it. I can't take pictures.
Right.
I mean, I'm there watching all the screens, and I'm sitting there beside the commander, and he goes, all right, what do you want to see? I said, man, I don't want to see nothing. I'm just watching you work. I'm staying out of the way. Thank you for letting me be here with you and making friendships. And then he'll go, hey, look at screen 16. I said, all right. He goes, that's a Russian. I said, really? He goes, oh yeah. And tell me where they're at. Coordinates. He goes, watch what we're going to do. I said, okay, what you going to do? He goes, I'm going to take this drone, tell the guys, go over and mark that with targeting locations, basically latitude and longitude. He goes, and then we're just going to ease out. He says, but tonight we're going to go back to that coordinate and we're going to smoke that foxhole. And it's just, you like, are you serious? I mean, that's what you're going to do. He goes, yeah. He goes, you going to have some fun? I said, yeah. He goes, now listen, everything I'm going to show you is public. I mean, they know this is minor stuff. You target, come back, hit it later. He goes, and don't be confused. We can do this to Russia and Russia can do this to us. This is the war we're fighting. We just need to try to stay ahead and be better than them. But that's the battle. He goes, let's hijack some Russian drones and watch them fly around. I said, excuse me? He says, yeah, we're going to intercept their signals now and watch what their operators are watching. I said, come on, man. He goes, oh, yeah, watch. He gave the command. Boom. Now I'm watching FPV view of the Russian drones. And the Russian drones are coming. And this is months ago, or I would never tell this story. The Russian drones are coming. Ukrainian soldiers are out there. It's looking at the Ukrainian soldiers. The commander picked up the radio and gave it out. Drone incoming 2 kilometers. This click, this coordinate, heads up. And I mean, he was telling them, the Russian drone was coming because he was looking through the Russian drone. Come on, man.
Amazing.
I'm telling you. And listen, that's nothing. That's nothing. And the whole time, the United States, back to task here, is ignoring, disregarding, or any other descriptive adjective you want, the reality of what's happening there. And it's a tragedy. Just leave it at that. It's a tragedy. Seabank Universe. I am not in Ukraine right now. I'm back home. I just got back from Ukraine a little while ago, and I'll be heading back soon.
And what is it that has, obviously it's a moral issue, but what has drawn you in to this conflict that made it something that you were going to put your own life, that you were going to put your time and everything behind it to fight this injustice? What brought you into this?
Great question. Great question. Because I believe that we're at a key point in history. When I first went to school, I actually wanted to be a lawyer. So I was a history major. And I love history. Love it. And all we have to do to see forward is look backwards a little bit. And we're at a very strategic time in the world. And there are wars raging everywhere. Myanmar, the Chinese extermination of Muslims in Western China that nobody talks about. The civil wars that rage throughout the African continent that are initiated by Russia and paid for by China to bring complete destabilization to the African continent so that they can rape the African continent and steal from the African continent and gain wealth from the African continent. I spent a lot of time in Pakistan, the Middle East. And when this war escalated, and this war did not begin in 2022, dear friends, that's just the full-scale invasion. This war has been raging for decades, really kicking up in certain times. The Orange Revolution, Maidan, the illegal annexation of Crimea, the separatist work in the Donbass region, Russia. And, then we come to the full-scale invasion. When COVID hit in 2020, you couldn't go to church. You couldn't do nothing. And I started doing a little broadcast, a little stream. And man, I was terrible. I was absolutely terrible. And it was like just trying to give people something to talk about and deal with, because you couldn't leave the house. And I would have a little fun with it and do a beverage of the night and talk about news and talk about things. And like my beverage of the night tonight is sparkling ice Starburst orange. Very good. It's very good stuff. And no, you do not have to wonder if this is mixed. This is straight water, orange Starburst. So, but I started just doing some basic streaming, and I could see, and I'm still, couldn't travel internationally, nothing. So I'm doing everything online and all the work. I've been at that time, 20 years of my life invested, over 20 years in humanitarian work and mission work in Ukraine specifically. And then I started seeing the buildup, and I was talking about it, and I said, this is getting interesting here. This is not like before. And I actually was live streaming on day one of the invasion with my partner, who is the president of our NGO there, Zhenya Matsutsu. And is there a Papa Dutch in the house? Oh my goodness, I'm seeing Papa Dutch. when that first day happened in February of 2022, the year 2022, February 24th, 2022, I was on a live stream with Xenia. And it happened to be at the very moment the first missile hit by sheer chance. And I committed to him that night. I mean, I had like 20 people watching, maybe 15. I said, dude, I'm in. We're going to fight this and fight for Ukraine because the invasion's happening now. This is a whole different ball of wax. And we finished that stream, and I can remember it's just like yesterday. Jane and I were talking in the green room, after, and the stream's over. And I said, listen, buddy, I'm here. And I'm going to do my part, stream. I'll translate. I'll tell truth. I'll raise funds. I'll be in Ukraine, coming back and forth. I'm going to help you. And he says, man, I know that. I said, well, what do you mean? Why do you know that? He goes, because we're brothers. He says, we have a real bond, and I know you're going to fight and help us. And the reality is, if we were invaded and we were experiencing here in the United States what Ukraine is experiencing, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that my Ukrainian friends would be here fighting and helping us. I know it. So when you know that, like, it's in my heart, it's in my soul, I know it. So there is no other option for me than to fight and to help. And that has went from a little stream having 15 or 20 people in February 24th, 22 to now we're in 2025 and we're dropping armored vehicles and over $1 million of aid and getting bombed and missiles. I mean, I've been right under ballistic missile attacks where I thought I was going to get killed. We're on the live call. I got videos of it. We're on the live call with military so they could tell us the best time to hopefully run away. The missiles were still coming. Because why? I believe that this is one of the key critical points in history where if we do not fight for truth and justice and what is right, we're going to lose a lot right here globally. We're going to lose a lot. And I don't know. I'm not a fatalist. I'm not a doomsdayer. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. None of that. I just try to deal in facts only, experience, a little bit of conjecture, like I've told my crew. And my channel, it's called the Hope Train. And you join my channel, it's the Hope Train, because we always want to bring hope and bring encouragement. But the reality is sometimes that hope and encouragement has to come with a big dose of reality. And the reality is, I just believe that this is right. We'll fight for it. And I made the commitment on day one of the full-scale invasion that I would be here every day. And I don't miss, man. I don't miss. And from that, it's, mushroomed to this, and we fight on.
It's always inspiring to hear the stories of the people who are in the midst of this, and like yourself, the people who are out there trying to make a difference in all this chaos and violence that's happening. Really appreciate, by the way, you're able to join us tonight and to be able.
No, it's my honor, man. I appreciate it, and I'm seeing so many good people in the chat, and I just thank you to all the Hope Train guys hopping in here. There's some great guys here, and look forward to partnering with them in the future.
Welcome new people.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, it's Gertis, and I know a lot of people don't like Gertis, and they sometimes he may even be watching. It seems he's just MAGA, and he's not. He is not pro-Trump, and I know people want to hear it. He's not. I personally know he's not. He hates it. But he just words things ways sometimes, and I'm a little bit more direct. And then I have the emotional tie to it with working inside Ukraine. But I see people talking in the chat, and I saw Nick there talking about the reality of the Soviet Union and the reality of the USSR and the reality of the ideology of it. And I'm trying to scream it from the mountaintops and the rooftops that this is not a game. And if you do not believe that your world can change in a New York minute, then you are sadly, very sadly mistaken. And you will make decisions based on a future that you think is going to unfold. Millions and millions and millions of Ukrainians were calculating their future based on moving into the European Union, moving in with a deeper relationship with their Western friends and allies, led by the United States of America and wonderful friends in the European Union. And life began to unfold, but they had no realization in reality of what was coming when this full-scale invasion happened. Even the Ukrainians were surprised. And that's the truth. And they have fought an incredible war where it went from we're going to take Kyiv in 3 days to now we're kicking their tail. We're striking their refineries. We're destroying military targets. I have a video I'm working on right now because you get into social media where you see Ukraine starting to hit these buildings that are apartment buildings. And it's like, oh, they're terrorists. They're terrorists. No, there's a reason. And I'm just throwing it out there. I'm going to tell you why, but I'll give a hint tonight on Sons of Liberty. And that is a lot of the targets that Ukraine has struck that have not been deflected from Russian air defense and then fall into a building. Russia strikes any target. Ukraine strikes military targets. Period. They're ethical. They have a heart. And when you see these buildings that are direct strike, it's because the intelligence is there. And I got video to prove it. I'm going to be dropping over the next couple of days. The Russians are just using apartment buildings for long-range warfare and controlling drones. You know, you guys, I mean, it's public knowledge. A lot of the American drone operators are in Southeast Asia. A lot of our drone teams are in the Philippines. It's public knowledge. It's no operational security there. They're in the Philippines. They're controlling drones in the Middle East from the Philippines. Well, Russia's now doing the same. They're flying drones from Moscow. They're flying drones from different cities. And they're not even in Ukraine, and they're doing the drone warfare, a lot of the heavier, bigger stuff. And these are some of the targets Ukraine's hitting. It's incredible. It's incredible what they're doing. But it'll get painted wrong and it'll get spun wrong, and the propaganda points will roll. So we fight for that. And there's no other option. There's no other option, because Ukrainians were planning for a future and a hope and believing that, okay, my kid's 12 and he's going to finish school and be 18 and go to college, and he's going to be a doctor, and he's going to be a dentist. He's going to be, you know, a sports player. He's going to be a pharmacist. A lot of those kids are dead now. And the hospitals where they hoped their son would grow up or their daughter would grow up and be a doctor, it's now rubble. And there is no way that they could have predicted it. No way. And they every day wake up to a reality that is unlike any other place on this globe. And I promise you, with the experience, not in a million years did Ukraine or Ukrainians ever dream that 22% of their geographical 1991 sovereign borders would be invaded and controlled by an evil Putin and an evil regime, and that civilians would be targeted daily. that Kherson would turn into rubble as Russian FPV pilots sit 1, 2, 3 kilometers away and practice by striking children and taxi cabs and any target they see. Anything that moves, they'll hit it with an FPV drone. No way it could have been predicted. No way. And you now put that in your world, wherever you're at. You say, oh, it could never happen in my world. It could never happen in my world. Well, that's what they thought also. So I'm going to fight for them, man. Going to fight for them.
How many? I could probably like Google this or just get on like Netflix or Hulu or whatever and just type in Ukraine. But what kind of documentaries does the U.S. have about Ukraine that are like on our, like for example, I'm a veteran of OEF and OIF, and the big thing that we had like The Hurt Locker, which was a stupid movie. It sucked. And we had The Green Zone, which also sucked. And, like beyond that, we had like Generation Kill.
I thought that was pretty
good. A miniseries, which was really good. And then the only like really good documentary that we have that entered into the cultural mindset, that the zeitgeist, was the Restrepo doc by Sebastian Junger. So what do we have in the last, say, 3 years that
there's some good ones. Winter on Fire is good. 20 Days in Mariupol, extremely well done. And there are others, but you guys know that I see people talking about United 24 constantly putting out documentaries, but it kind of goes before that and beyond that. Right now, it's hard to trust mainstream media at all. And I'm not, it's just reality. Okay. So independent films, independent media, finding sources that are good. And there is a good coalition, for example, of pro-Ukrainian YouTubers that work very, very hard. Unfortunately, in that there are very few that are inside Ukraine or going to Ukraine. Now, some do. So, but they still do amazing work. But the reason I say that is because I wish there were more that have influence that were in Ukraine, because they can tell the real story. So I can tell you, I see Cheryl just put it in there. So 2 that I would recommend you look up. And I'm actually going to be having Dylan on a live stream here soon, but Dylan Burns and Kaylin Robertson, they're both doing very good documentary work inside Ukraine. I know that Dylan just released a new video about the unbelievable destruction and devastation in Kherson, told from the right from the front. So there is some really, really good stuff out there. You're not getting like live footage or documentary from somebody like a Starsky, but you're getting that experience and you're getting that knowledge and you're getting that other side of it. Like, you can trust what Operator Starsky tells you because A, he's a Ukrainian veteran, B, he's fighting the propaganda, which is the #1 battle right now. And I know it's hard to think, oh, it's hard, well, propaganda's not killing people. No, I would disagree. The propaganda is killing people. It's may not be the missile that's dropping or the drone that's dropping, but the influence of it is ultimately killing people. So Starsky does a wonderful job fighting that. And there are many others, and I see people talking through the chat right now. There's just a lot of them. But when you ask specifically about documentary, 20 Days in Mariupol, Winter on Fire, and there are others, and those are bigger deals. Anything United 24 is putting out is solid. I know all the United 24 guys. I do stuff with them, and they're legit. And then Dylan Burns and Kalen, definitely recommend those two guys. And I'm specifically speaking to your documentary question there. There's lots of, I see other people listing all kind of channels in the chat, and they're fantastic, but your question was on documentary. So I pushed to that. That's how I try to push my information, because I'm in and out nonstop. So I want to show as much of the reality as possible. To the best of my ability, doing that and not getting banned or shadow banned or taken off the air. And B, doing it as well without bringing danger to our heroes that are fighting on the front. And one of the reasons that you will see a limitation sometimes of documentary or real-time stuff, a lot of the documentary will come and then it'll be much later, because unfortunately early in the war, a lot of independent filmmakers were going and they were putting up stuff too early and getting a lot of our guys killed. And it's just reality. So Ukraine has stopped that. You really now, 3 years into this war, if you're not partnering and working in deep relationship with military, you're not getting anywhere. Not now. Not going to happen. They've lost too many soldiers. And I know, like Dylan, he's so connected to military, as we are.
I should have watched Big Sarge's OPSEC video.
Yeah, the operational security. Ben Hodges, great guy. I love reading the chat, man.
There was a
William Brown. Welcome, Greg Terry fan. Glad to be in the resistance with you. William Brown, welcome to you. I'm then glad to join you.
There was a film, a mutual acquaintance of Big Sarge and I, a filmmaker who did a documentary. I'm not sure if it's out or not. From his time, that he had actually been filming in, I think in Slovakia, at the time the war had started, and he just kind of volunteered to go with a group of people who were taking in aid supplies early on, and he still had his camera equipment with him, so he was just filming wherever he went, and he finally strung it all together into a piece covering the early war. He's gonna kill me. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head though.
Talking about Spike.
Yeah.
There's some good ones. There is, and especially from early in the war. But right now, for more recent stuff, you're gonna only be getting it from like a United 24, or people like a Dylan Burns that are connected. And I'm talking about getting to the real stuff, not,
what the weather was in Kyiv,
not something to make $1, but the real stuff. And there's so many people. I see Cheryl listing so many good channels. Yeah. And I'll tell you what's beautiful about this. You guys now have in your chat Papa Dutch. And let me tell you something. Papa Dutch is a legend. He is a freak of nature and a legend. But I see Cheryl Waitley in there from Arizona, dropping different channel names, different YouTube names. And here's what I would like to say. Because I know in time, Nick's in here in the live stream right now from Boston. And I don't even want to start calling names because then I'll miss some. But there is a group, I don't know, 25, 30 channels that do different things to support Ukraine, and it's not just YouTube. Like there's other, I think of like an Andrew Perpetua who's doing such incredible job of mapping, and I'm going to get him on. The Ukraine mission's in the house. Oh, cool. Thank you, Ukraine mission. I know what you're doing, you legend. What's beautiful is literally through all of these channels, 25, 30 channels, maybe 50. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. 25, 30. You literally have millions and millions and millions of people that kind of cross over. And all of these guys, they're listening in these different channels where you'll have some people that are like in Ukraine, like I am, or, you know, Dylan doing documentaries, or you have, you know, Johnny Pierce out of London with his Queen's English, Silicon Curtain doing interviews, Jonathan Fink, to Starsky, you know, Shills, Dick Dawson out of Canada, bringing pro-Ukrainian YouTubers on weekly, just keeping the message going. Here's the deal, the big thing. And the big thing is we all know each other and we're not competing with each other. We literally work our rear ends off to help each other. And it is the most beautiful thing because we recognize that this is a very, very serious point in history and point in time, and we can't miss it. We have to stand for what is right. And honestly, I get so much joy and comfort knowing that we may not see everything the same way, but man, we sure do work together and we fight together. And it's really impressive. And the power of it is not the content guys like you guys, myself, and the list of others. The incredible thing about it is the millions of people and that are represented right now by some in your chat that are like going doom, 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 doom. Why? Because I mean, literally we're working together. You know, I have a schedule. You guys, my schedule is nuts. I mean, the reality of it. I have a wife, I have kids, but I literally work 24/7. And I know that's you know, nobody works 24/7. Okay, don't give us that crap. Okay.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
You know, yes, I do sleep, but so nonstop communication with other content creators, nonstop communication with my team in Ukraine, nonstop communication with military, nonstop communication with Ukrainian inside sources that I use to prepare my news every day. I don't go and literally very rarely, you know, grab a tweet here or some headline off of Reuters over there. I'm getting it direct from Ukraine. I then put it into a presentation and I present it direct, the straightest as I can. And many times I'm putting stuff out that it'll hit Reuters the next day. And like I told everybody yesterday that Lavrov would have a speech today. I already knew it. And he did, and he nailed it. He didn't nail it, but he we got it right that he was going to put something out today, and he did, and it was unbelievable. But like, you know, I'm on with you guys now, and enjoying it from 7 to 9 Eastern, and then I will leave here. I'll check everything in Ukraine again, and then I'll watch one little show with my wife. We're going to watch Extracted tonight after the stream. And then I start digging back into the information that I'm processing. And that typically I do that between like 11 p.m. Eastern and 1 a.m. because now I'm already at 6 a.m. Ukraine, 7 a.m. And then I'm pushing around to about 9 a.m. So all the morning information is coming in. I take that information from like 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. and I'm pushing it into different folders and files so that when I get up the next morning, that information is waiting on me that I've already pushed there 6 hours prior, and then I take the last 6 hours and I push it into there, and then I process it down and start dropping out my videos, scheduling the lives, talking, and it's every day.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, I always want to, of course, be there for my family and go to church and do all the things. You got life, right? You got life. It's like yesterday. What is today? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
You
Today
see?
is Taco Tuesday.
Okay, today's Taco Tuesday. So this is what happened.
He may have been hitting
Saturday night
early. So
Saturday night at 10 p.m. A friend of mine here. So I live in Western Pennsylvania. It's my home base. I live north of Pittsburgh, and Western PA. So Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Youngstown, Erie, all of that neck of the woods.
I'm familiar with the area.
Okay,
Did
cool.
some filming in McKeesport.
Oh, okay. Yeah. McKeesport. Oh, that's all my neck of the woods here. So I, late at night on Saturday night, I received a phone call, and it was a friend of mine. And he says, Greg, he's a physical therapist. He said, client just gave me 2 tickets to the Bruins game tomorrow. And, I want you to go with me. And, game's at 3:30 in the afternoon. And I'm sitting right at this desk working, and it's late Saturday night. And I said, man, Mad Bullet, Slippery Rock, PA. Man, you close to me, bro. You close to me. You're 40 minutes from me, Mad Bullet. 40 minutes. They said, man, let's go to the Pens game. I got great tickets. Front row on the glass.
Oh.
Row A, dude. And I'm talking
Nice.
about, okay, you're watching one of the greatest hockey players ever, Sidney Crosby. Okay, and the list goes on. So I won't bore people with hockey talk. But the point being, I told him no. I said, man, I tomorrow's the big day. I've got a couple of videos I need to put out, and and I said, nah. I said, if you can't find nobody, maybe, I'll send my son with you. And my son's 17. And I went upstairs. My studio's downstairs. I went upstairs and told my wife, I said, my buddy just called me. I called his name. He just called and wants me to go to the Penguins game with him tomorrow. And she looked at me and she goes, really? I said, yeah. I said, right on the glass. Well, what did you tell him? I said, no, I'm too busy. My wife looked at me and goes, you are an idiot. You are an absolute idiot. I said, what? She goes, you're going. You do this 24/7. And I would love for you to take 4, 5, 6 hours and just spend it with us and the family, but you need to do it. The glass, you're going. So I called him back. I said, hey, did you give that ticket away yet? He goes, nope, waiting on you to call me back. I said, I'm in.
Nice.
So Sunday afternoon, I put out my video. I got up early, got that all out. I adjusted my In Time Independent News. Yes, the Bruins beat the Penguins. But regardless, even 24/7, and I encourage people in the chat, you have to take care of your health and your sanity and your mentality. I mean, I look literally at death every day. I've lost so many friends, and she just said you need to do that, and that's where I actually got my penguin hat from. It wasn't actually it. So this was given out on at the game, and
you're gonna get tariffed.
Well, the bottom line is this guy was tariffed. Okay, so it was so funny. Everybody in that game Sunday So they gave these away because there's only one more game. It's I think Thursday night's their last home game. The season's over, and so everybody at the arena down there in downtown Pittsburgh wearing these hats. But here's so funny: they're screaming, for the Penguins and all of this, and I'm beating on the glass, and it was I had a blast. But the funny thing is, the conversation you hear as every idiot inside that stadium is wearing this hat. Every idiot. Okay. All of us idiots. And we're all walking around and laughing at each other and not talking about the Penguins, but going, hey, how's your tariff treating you? How's your tariff treating you? It was so good. It was so good. So anyway, there's a time and place for everything, but you guys, I don't know what all of you do in your off time or your other time. But it's a lot of work. But
yeah,
I'll tell you what, I lay my head down at night knowing I gave it my all. And I think that's the best thing that anybody can do. No matter what you do in life, we all play our role. We all play our part. And as long as we're all co-laboring together, it's a power that's unstoppable.
It's true. And I'm glad you're able to take a break,
man,
especially for some, clearly a hockey fan. So
are you a hockey fan?
I am, not so much this year because my Flyers are disappointing me like you wouldn't believe. But fortunately, I'm also a football fan, and my Eagles brought home the big trophy this year. So I can at least I can rest on that, even though.
Well, I'm from the South originally, so I grew up really not knowing anything about hockey, and that's before the NHL kind of went south with Tampa Bay and Nashville and now Vegas, and at that point, I'm from the South. We play baseball. Grew up playing baseball. That's it. And you don't play soccer. That was dumb.
Right,
But now I like watching soccer. I like watching some ice hockey now that I'm learning about it. But I do know this. When we were driving down, this is how ignorant I am about hockey. But I'm learning. When we were going down, and I said, "Who we playing?" He goes, "You idiot." I said, "Okay." I said, I said, I know Ovechkin just, passed Gretzky. I said, but Gretzky's will always be the greatest one. He goes, oh yeah, Gretzky's always the greatest one. He goes, but Crosby, Lemieux. He starts talking about all this stuff with the Penguins, and then we start talking about other things, and I start dropping names. I said, yeah. I said, I know about Mark Messier, and I started dropping all these. He goes, how do you know all these names if you know nothing about hockey? I said, because once I've read something, it's in my brain forever, and it's a horrible thing. Trust me. I said, because you just remember stuff you don't want to remember. And we started talking about it and this is what he said to me, and I'm gonna say this because of you. He says, listen, Bruins, no problem. Boston, who cares? He goes, the only thing you need to know is we hate the Flyers.
It's true. True story.
I said, okay. So I'm a Penguins fan, you Flyer. No. Bobby Orr, Dunk on You 23, another one of my mods up in here. We're rolling up in here now, man. Bobby Orr, yep, Gordie Howe, Bob Gretzky, and I am from Boo Gretzky, and I am from Edmonton. Oh, you can't be from the Oilers and Boo.
Oilers.
Oh,
that's bad blood there.
Here it's going to come because he left and he went to Los Angeles. That's why. I also
can't forgive traitors. Can't forgive traitors.
I'm a sports guy. I like sports. I never watched soccer. Here's another Ukraine story for you. 2008. I'm in Ukraine, and my partner Zhenya. Okay, my partner's not my wife. I have a wife. My partner is my my nonprofit partner, and Zhenya. No, sir. Not that I'm against using the term partner. Okay, that's whatever floats your boat. I'm just saying, my partner is my nonprofit partner. Your wife's your wife. So
some people use terminology in different ways.
It's like Johnny Pierce. He goes, Greg, we need to do a live stream, but I need to check with my partner. And then the next day, Johnny Pierce would call and say, okay, well, I checked with the wifey and everything's okay. I said, so you're using wife and partner interchangeably? He goes, yeah, it's my partner, my wife. I said, okay, I see that. My wife is my partner. I get it. No problem. Cool. But what I'm saying here is Zhenya. And we're in Ukraine, and I'm with all my Ukrainian buddies, and it's late at night, and they ask me, hey, do you like football? I said, man, I love football. Well, what's your team? I said, the Washington Redskins. He said, no, not that American mess. Do you like football? Soccer? Yeah. He says, man, Ukraine, huge game tonight. And I don't know who they were playing. They were playing, it was like France. I mean, and it was back when I think France had that big famous player that was headbutted somebody in the World Cup or whatever. Huge game. And this was for like the Euro Cup or something. This was not, or just some little, friendly. This was a big time game. And it started at midnight Ukraine time. I'll never forget. Go to their house. It's like 30 Ukrainians packed in here. And of course, you leave your shoes at the door.
Of course.
So we're all sitting around the TV. The socks are smelling wonderful. Okay. Pizza's flying. And we're watching the game. And I'm literally sitting there asking the guys, okay, explain this to me. Yeah, I mean, I understand principally, kick it in the goal. All right. But I want to understand what I'm watching here. From that day forward, I fell in love with watching World Cup. I like watching these big games. Very interesting to me. But that's not the biggest story. Ukraine won the game. And this truly happened 100%. My friend's apartment was on the 9th floor, about 30 of us in there. And you go out to the balcony, just like these buildings that you guys see in the news that are blown up every day. Every day. These big 5, 9, 14, 16 story apartment buildings. This was a 9-story. We're on the 9th floor. Ukraine won. It's like 2 a.m. And the guys looked at me and go, do you want to see why we love football? I said, yeah, you just won. He goes, oh, no. It's the after party. I said, what? The after party. He goes, yeah. Come out on the balcony. It's getting ready to get real. Dude, 2 a.m. God is my witness. We step out on the balcony and thousands of Ukrainians pour into the streets, start building fires, drinking vodka, screaming, jumping up and down, jumping in the river. The apartment was right on the river, jumping it. And I'm going, what on earth is going on? They go, this is why we like soccer, football, because when we win, we go crazy. And I mean, now I understand when you see these World Cup games and then they're out burning cars and flipping them over. It's a whole different world. So I don't know how we got talking about this, but we did. So it's good. But it's Ukraine. It's about Ukraine.
Like I said, though, it's great that you can connect with something that brings you at least a bit of peace from all the other chaos and nonsense that all of us are going through in the world right now. Seems like every day we wake up and flip over to the phone and it's just what new fucking bullshit is going to be unfurling today? What new news alert has come in overnight from who knows where? What despicable thing is happening? And then
fresh hell.
Yeah, what fresh hell is this? And then just
I can tell you right now. I can tell you right now, Odessa in southern Ukraine was just hit downtown with a heavy Shahid attack. We've had Odessa struck 4 times, drone in Kyiv, drone in Chernihiv, Kropivnitsky, drones are flying right now. So it's 3:30 in the morning there, and that's what's happening in Ukraine. So you'll wake up and the news will be more devastation,
more awfulness,
more destruction, more chaos coming out of Washington, D.C. I mean, and listen, it's absolutely disgusting what's happening. And I know we have many international viewers here. It's absolutely disgusting what's happening in the United States. It's tragic.
I honestly never thought I'd see a day where we're talking about, we don't need due process. We can just declare people to be criminals and then impose sentence on them. That to me, I don't know how that's not the red line for basically everybody in this country to hear that this train has left the rails.
It's because, yeah, well, there is okay, so I'm a conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm a Ronald Reaganite. And I absolutely hate what is happening in my country right now, led by a bamboozler, genius marketer.
Yeah.
Genius. But that's where it starts. After the marketer, an absolute disgusting human being who gloats over the misfortune of others and weaponizes it. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. And I'm referring to President Donald J. Trump. Unfortunately, I hate to say this, but I will say it. His madness has been escalated by a Christian right nationalistic view that has blossomed inside churches around this country. And I am trying to smash that evil narrative every day. Donald J. Trump is not Jesus. He is not the Savior. He's not riding into Washington on a white horse. You people are idiots. But we have to look back at history. How could it be that on a much smaller scale, Jim Jones could manipulate enough people to leave the United States of America and go to Guyana? And I have worked in Guyana a lot, been to Jonestown, what's left of it, and literally have people drink Kool-Aid and celebrate their own death. From wherewith we now have the cult phrase, okay, well, they've drank the Kool-Aid. Okay, that all goes back to Jim Jones.
Yep.
So all you have to do is extrapolate it by thousands and millions. And it's these people that are under that spell are delusional. And they absolutely will not believe truth, even if you lay it to them on a silver platter. Let me make my point. I have been in many churches around this country and have spoken there or done music there and traveled within the last 3 years since the full-scale invasion.
Quick question.
And I've had,
what denomination?
I am interdenominational. I'll tell you offline.
I mean, I come from a background where my mom is Jewish and my dad is like Episcopalian, raised Episcopalian, became Pentecostal holiness, and is now a Methodist minister. So I get it.
Yes. I have been, okay, well, let me explain it to you this way. I really mean that interdenominationally. I speak in Presbyterian churches, Baptist churches, Pentecostal churches, you name it, all across the board, for 30 years. So interdenominational. But you made an interesting statement. I'm going to ask you a question offline. Why offline? Because you don't know how much hate mail I get when people realize that I am a Christian that doesn't like Donald Trump.
I run a platform where I present myself as a bearded, it's
true what you're doing on
looks
the
a certain way. Yeah.
Conservative platform, retaking the narrative and the identity. he's doing kind of the same thing with the veteran narrative
just minus,
and reclaiming
the religious part. As
Yeah.
an example, I look a certain way, and that is
Sure, he does look
the
a certain
reason
way.
why the vast majority of my non-Confederate videos all start off with the same 1 minute and 30-second spiel where I'm like, "What's up, fam of liberty?" And everybody else who's watching this video, I know what you might be thinking, so let me go ahead and get this out of the way. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, etc., etc. I do that for a very specific reason, so I get it. I mean, I've been doing this shtick for almost 10 years at this point. I get the hate mail. I turn it around and I do the famous sir where I put them on blast. I'm like, oh, you're gonna message me? Guess what? So no, I get it 100%. You get the hate mail.
Oh man,
I know.
Well, since the channel has grown crazily, I will say that I've had a lot of supportive mail as well. So I don't want to spin it. I've had people that have, I mean, like Johnny Pierce and I from ATP Geopolitics, we have so much fun with it because he's an atheist and he's waiting for the planets to align. And I've got him because I've got him on video coming out. He has MS, multiple sclerosis, and his health is not the best. And I took him around the front lines, and the dude was a hero. Okay, just a stud. But I can tell you, we had a tough time. We were coming out of a city down south, and we turned left, and we went past this church, and the air raid was coming in. I said, all right, we're rolling out of here. And when we went past this Orthodox church, I actually had the camera rolling, and Johnny started singing, "Oh, happy day." "Oh, happy day." And Janie and I turned and said, "Johnny, you're singing a Christian song." He goes, "Brother, right now I might believe anything." It was like, because, oh man, but the bombs are getting ready to drop. We had so much fun with it, but you see, bring it together, man. We accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. It was good. It was good. But I was answering a specific question. And the question was,
if you forgot it, that's fine.
That's the cue. The question was,
So Sarge just had a few sangrias tonight, and I have zero excuse for why I can't.
I see the rosy cheeks.
Yeah,
they're always ginger.
It is Taco Tuesday, so
it is Taco Tuesday.
Nice to have gotten dinner tonight.
Something led us to that. I remember. Okay, so drinking the Kool-Aid, and how can so many people drink all this Kool-Aid and believe it? And how is it even possible? And I'm going to tell you why. At least my opinion, in my experience. I've been in many churches over the last 3 years speaking. I was just in a church this past Saturday that had invited me there because they wanted to know the truth about Ukraine. Put that one on. See, it's working. It's working. And when I started unloading and telling them, and it was like, holy moly, no, yeah. And it was like, we got it. We got it. Thank you. And it was a very positive event. But over the past 3 years, I've literally had people where I've spoken at churches, and maybe I've had a relationship there for 20, 25 years, and I've spoken there multiple times. I know these people, different parts of the country, not only down south, it can be out west, it can be up north, multiple times. They've walked up to me and they said, Greg, I'm like just very happy to know you for all these years and so proud of the work that you're doing in Ukraine. I'm watching the YouTube, and we've donated for your fundraisers and projects, and we're just proud of you. And this has happened. Immediately after that, they'll do, but you're wrong. And I'll say, excuse me? You're wrong. And now we're proud of you. Like, dude, you go over and getting bombed and helping those people and those poor people. But you know you're wrong. I said, what am I wrong about? Oh, Zelensky, he's a bandit. He's got 700 billion in 13 houses in the Canary Islands. And I said, well, where did you get that information from? From Donald Trump. I said, okay, so let me just ask you. And I said, cool, you can have that opinion, but let's have a conversation here. So you're going to believe a lying, cheating felon, convicted, who has never been to Ukraine, over me, whom you've personally known for 20 years, who is telling you point blank the reality. I speak the language, he doesn't. I'm there, he's not. You're going to believe that over knowing me personally for 20 years plus, and I tell you exactly what's happening, and you're like proud of what I'm doing, but you still think I'm wrong. Yeah. And we'll still donate. Don't worry about that. But when it comes to Ukraine, you're wrong. They're evil. It's like you can't. They're gone, man. They've drank the Kool-Aid. I don't know how to best describe it. So we'll fight against that. But that's the reality, man. And all we can do, it's like, Sarge, you fight against it.
I remember you saying that you were. I don't remember the specific term. I think you said Reaganite, something to that effect. And I'm almost as old as you are. So I remember growing up in the 80s and it being the Cold War era. It was the end of the Cold War era, but it was still the Cold War era. And the Russians were the bad guys. The Soviets were the bad guys. And there were Soviet agents, intelligence agents that were constantly running games. And even now, like if you go back and watch the what is it on? I think it's FX. It's either FX or something that starts with an A. It's a series. It's called The Americans. It's on Amazon Prime. If you go back and watch that whole thing, like it makes it explicitly clear, and it's fictionalized, but it is so on point. And like I remember, like the Soviet panic and stuff like that, and just people were like, "Oh, the Democrats are, they're in bed with the Soviets. They want to make peace with the commies." Blah blah blah. And the Republicans are we're the staunch warriors that stand against the Soviet aggression and Russia.
How's that working
like
for you today?
Yeah, exactly. It's like the complete opposite. It's like what's
how's
now I know what it was like to have lived through the Civil War / civil rights era. It's everything's flip flopped around.
Fun fact. I was going to say this real quick on the Americans. Tim, our mutual friend Janice, she actually worked on that series. That was one of her big successes.
Before that, I remember when that series was just getting ready to end, like it was winding up its final season, and I think like Donald Trump was he was the primary candidate or whatnot, and I just thought to myself like, I know how this series should end. It should end with like, actually, there's probably some spoilers here for people who haven't watched, so I'm not going to say anything. But like, there would have been a perfect tie-in for Donald Trump. They'd be like, let's activate Agent Krasnov. If you know how the series ended, then you know. Like, there was a family member in the thing that could have gone either way and didn't, and it was like so my suggestion was like, oh, they could fast forward like 20 years and let's activate Agent Krasnov. And if you've seen the ending, then you know. If you haven't seen it, then you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and that's fine. Go watch The Americans.
You have me interested in that series, I can tell you that. So I'm
it is so good.
The Americans.
There's so many people in there that are like, they're really good. Like the guy who played Skeletor in the He-Man movies, Frank Langella, he's in there. And like, if you've ever watched FX's what's the thing with Timothy Olyphant, Justified, Margot is in there. Oh God, it's so good. There's so many good, and it's like Oh,
Well,
just go watch it.
you
Just watch like the first couple of episodes and be like, if you're not hooked, I don't know what to tell you. But oh my god, such a good series. I binge watched that.
You're leading me to a thought.
Well, first time for everything.
Yeah. No, but seriously, you're leading me to a thought, and I want to verbalize it properly. And the reality is, the Russian infiltration of the Cold War was real, very real, and we are. You make that statement there. We could fast forward 20 years and activate Krasnov and all of this stuff. The reality is, if the veil could be pulled back and we could all have like Superman X-ray vision for like 30 seconds, all of us would lose our lunch at the amount of interconnect, like a spider web. And this is not fear-mongering or conspiracy theory. This is reality. It's everywhere. They've been doing this for decades and decades and decades. And in many places of the world, they're partnering with the Chinese. And I work with a lot of Ukrainians that will tell me, Greg, you know what? You need to be careful because you think the Russian bot farms and the Russian propaganda machine is strong. They're amateurs, even compared to the Chinese. And you have this working. Okay. And I know, America does their stuff and all this stuff. Okay. But I'm telling you, it's like amateur hour. This is really in place and happening. I can remember you talking about TV. I can remember watching the Blacklist series and
good series.
Yeah. Love Raymond Reddington. And if you guys will go back, in fact, I would encourage everybody when you're watching media or television shows and movies, I would encourage all of you to be sensitive and listen for Russian talking points in media. It will shock you when you really start to pay attention. The Blacklist, on multiple occasions, the writers were writing pro-Russian narratives into the scripts. For example, way before the war and the separatists were working in eastern Ukraine, the writers were writing about the separatists and the regime that are going to fight for Artemovsk. Okay. You say, well, okay, what are you talking about there? Artemovsk is the Russian name for Bakhmut. They've already renamed it. We're talking about a decade before this was unfolding and before Crimea was annexed. They're talking about Crimea and it's written into the scripts and it's just like there, just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. But now when I do watch something and it's shocking in that 2000s to 2010 and 2010 to like 2015, 2016, when you really look at your TV shows coming out of Hollywood, how much Russian talking points and narratives are in there. It's kind of surprising. So that's the homework I'll leave the live stream for. Whatever you're watching, and it's not like you're hunting for it. It'll be obvious to you when you start to really just listen for it a little bit. It's like, oh, did they just say Bakhmut? Did they just say Artemovsk? Why are they talking about Crimea? Why are they talking about that? Why is Ukraine in every other mention of war or television story? It's always Ukraine. Okay. Or I was watching Criminal Minds and all the hackers in the 2000s. Oh, they're in Ukraine. They're running bot farms in Ukraine. Go back and look at the Criminal Minds episodes because I love Dr. Spencer Reed. You got me going on television. I love Dr. Spencer Reed. Okay. And I'm going to tell you something right now. He's in SWAT now. Derek Morgan, Shamar.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one good-looking black man. I'm just going to tell you, I love. That's just one good-looking black man. I'm going to tell you, that's just
Shamar
reality. Shamar Moore. He's on SWAT now.
Yeah.
But even in the 2000s, they were running scripts about Ukrainian bot farms. hackers, those early stories of corrupt Bitcoin being sent through Ukraine. And it was so many times Ukraine in that narrative. And for me, I'm not looking for it. I just try to pay attention for it, but it's just interesting. It's there. It's really there. And that takes me back to Ronald Reagan being the president of the Screen Actors Guild in the 40s. Go look, you guys can look it up. He was fighting communism there and screaming how the Russians were invading Hollywood, even in the 40s. Here we are now.
Sorry, dealing with the dog in the background. For those who might be new to broadcast, I have a German Shepherd Dalmatian mix who is pretty sure that my neighbors cannot take out their trash cans without his express written permission. Tomorrow is trash day. So he is having to have a word with them.
He was very, very clear.
He was. Also, when the mail was delivered, also when the contractors for the house next door came by with a ladder, they definitely did not have a permit for the ladder. He needed to address that matter with them. He's very strict about these things. Everything's got to be code. It's just hours and hours. But, he's doing his job.
That's right. Well, I can tell you, a lot of great dogs and cats in Ukraine doing their job as well. You see a lot of social media posts about that. Cats are there for emotional support, and they do it. It's crazy how many cats there with the soldiers. It's true. All those are true stories, but especially a lot of the guys that are in areas where DRG is working, which is Defense Reconnaissance Groups for Russia, which would be in the Sumy Oblast, Sumy region, and Chernihiv region, and all along the front lines, but more up there. It's very heavily infiltrated with Russian special forces coming across the lines and coming across into Ukraine and trying to, destabilize and prepare for invasion and blow up stuff. All those guys have dogs, and a lot of times those dogs are warning signals. I've been in many, many places, and I can remember being with Pete so many times and being with others, and people on my channel know about fish and all these different call signs that I work with. And it's just great. I'm laying in the bed sleeping, and 10 soldiers all around me, and they'll get up at 2 a.m. say, "Greg, wake up. We got to go." I said, "Who's got to go?" "We got to go." I said, "We is you. We is not me." They go, No, you're not going. You're not going. You're staying here. But you're alone. You and Zhenya, that's it. Listen, DRG here. DRG here. I said, "Okay." He said, "Here's an AK and 3 grenades. If anybody comes through that door, just start shooting. Good night." He goes, "Believe me, we'll let you know when it's us coming back. If that door opens, just pull the trigger." I said, "Okay, man, I'm loving this." But the reality, man, it's the reality. But my point being, dogs so many times there in those zones are warning, because they literally are running around the woods at night, the soldiers.
Yeah.
Literally. As you guys know, so it's war.
So that is a convenient stopping point, because we've been on for about 2 hours now. I don't want to oversaturate anybody. I do want to thank you very, very much for being a guest on our live stream. It's very informative to have another point of view from a not leftist perspective, faith-based perspective, but surprisingly, like as you mentioned, on 90% of things, people who have your beliefs identify with a lot of the things that people who have our beliefs, and it's the 10% in the middle that we need to kind of sit down. That was one of the things that really struck me, and I get that from having walked on both sides of the political spectrum, and still to this day trying to balance it with people, my family that have different beliefs than me. That was my favorite takeaway out of all the things, and there were many. That was the one that really got me. So I want to thank you for that. That was very that was a very special thing for me personally.
You're very welcome, and just much respect, man, and I appreciate the invitation. And it's been a good stream when it's been 2 hours and it feels like 30 minutes. It's not 2 hours;
Yeah,
it feels like I've been there 7 days.
honestly, yeah.
Honestly, and
I looked down at the
look forward,
clock and I was like, "Where did the time go?"
look forward to doing more of this, and continuing to grow together and fight for truth. I just want truth, man. And I am a believer that truth sets people free. That's just, and that, you can, okay, well, you're quoting the Bible there. No, it's in the Bible, but the reality is you can take religion out of it. Truth sets people free. And
right. Exactly.
If people know the truth about Ukraine, it will set them free because you'll act on that truth. And that's what we're doing. So appreciate you guys, and we'll labor together and fight together. And I want to say a big shout out to the chat. I'm on the back screen here. They use StreamYards, and I use a different platform. So you use the same thing Johnny Pierce uses. So I'm just watching all the chat, recognize a lot of names, and a lot of names I don't recognize. So to all of you, thank you. It's been a wonderful. I've been reading all of the chat. And I appreciate each and every one of you very, very much, because without you, it would just be us three stooges here talking to each other by ourselves.
Yeah. So for the fam of Liberty who are not familiar, Greg's YouTube channel, it's listed down there. It's at Greg Terry Experience.
Yeah, thank you,
he's
guys.
got a website, gregterry.org. You should definitely go give him a follow, and don't give me your bullshit about, oh, but he's a conservative. Who cares? We're all in this together. Fight. As I have frequently said, nobody's coming to save you but you. So if you don't want allies, that's a you problem. Me personally, I'll take anybody in the same foxhole as me who, I don't care if they don't believe the same things as me, as long as we have a common goal and we're all pointing the same way.
Daggone right,
man. We're all on the same team.
Daggone right, man. And I'll tell you what, I'd rather go to battle with somebody that knows what they really believe and believe it, and like you say, aiming the same direction. The only thing I'd add to that is I want to go with those that are I'd rather go to battle with somebody limping, to be quite honest, than somebody who's jumping up and down and think they have all the answers. I want somebody that's tested and fighting, and that's where you get to the real heart. Have heart and care, and take everything out of it. Just you care for humanity, and you care for people, and you care for what's right. It's very easy to see when things are wrong. If you will stand in the White House, and I know they prepped me on the email because I hadn't met you guys yet, and they said, okay, you're probably going to hear a lot of colorful language and some anti-Trump rants and all of this. I said, great, I'll jump right in there with you on that anti-Trump rant and help you. If I got to go colorful, I'll have to go in a foreign language, but we can go colorful. But I'll tell you this. If you will stand in a joint session of Congress in front of the world and make the declaration, and I basically quote, Greenland, we're going to get you one way or the other. Okay? You are an evil piece of crap. Because what you have just done as the commander-in-chief of the United States and the president of the United States and the leader of the free world, You have just empowered Vladimir Putin to rape Ukraine and Xi Jinping to level Taiwan. And you have empowered Kim Jong-un to sling rockets all over Southeastern Asia. You have empowered evil. And you look at it and you laugh and you think you're doing something great by making these snide remarks. But what you're actually doing is revealing your truth and your character. And it is unacceptable. Absolutely. Listen, he's his own worst enemy. We just have to share the truth. Sorry.
Mic drop.
Yeah, really. There's a way to close out a show.
Listen, that one. Okay, I'm gonna give you a word tonight. That one pissed me off.
There you go.
There you go. I'm go as hard as I can go.
Strong language.
Sorry. Because, dude, that's evil. That's not America.
Yeah.
That's not what my grandfather fought for as a U.S. Navy veteran in World War II, who was in the Missouri battle group when Japan surrendered, who my grandfather was at the Cuban Bay Missile Crisis, one of the soldiers standing on the Tin Can, which is a destroyer when the Russian sub surfaced and we thought we were headed to nuclear war and Kennedy came and all of these things were happening in the Bay of Pigs. My grandfather was there fighting for that truth. And my grandfather right now, if he was still living, he would be in Ukraine fighting for Ukraine. I'm telling you, he was a warrior. And this is not what my forefathers, my grandfathers fought for. This is not what my country is about. We are not dictators. That is not America. And it's disgusting. We don't tell places we'll get you one way or the other. It's just, sorry. We should have started that conversation. That can be another stream.
Amen.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you very, very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you. I'll hang in the green room a second.
Yep.
This coming Friday, I will be on Jessica Dinson's show. I will be talking about the Civil War history documentary crowdfunder that we're running on Indiegogo. And next Tuesday live stream will be Angry Ginger, who is also with ProgressiveMatters.com. And if you're not following Greg Terry Experience and you're not following Angry Ginger, go fix yourself. And if you're not following Sons of Liberty and you've just come over here, welcome. Now press that follow button. Welcome to the Fam of Liberty population. That's going to be our time for this evening.
Thank you,
go
guys.
ahead and end the stream. 2 claps and a Rick.
Fantastic, guys.